everybody. So this is the traffic committee meeting for meeting of March 21st, 2018. I'd like to call the meeting to order. For the benefit of the public, so why don't we go ahead and start with self-introductions. My name is Chino Consunhi. I'm the Public Works Director and the Chair of the Traffic Committee. Mr.
My name is Luke Lucy, and I'm the City Traffic Engineer.
Matty Gomez, Traffic Investigator for the West Covina Police Department.
Matt McGurr, Traffic Officer for the West Covina Police Department.
Sir.
Alan Everett, just a citizen.
Miguel Hernandez, Public Works.
Monica Heredia, Assistant City Engineer in Public Works.
Right. Thank you very much. So first item on the agenda, approval of minutes of the November 15, 2017 meeting. It's been a while since we had a meeting. Everybody had a chance to look at the minutes?
Yep.
Do I have a motion to approve? So we have a motion to approve. Second, so minutes of the November 15, 2017 meeting approved. Matters from the audience. Since I think you will be speaking on item number 8, right? So we can probably wait until that, unless you have any other items you want to talk about.
That's it.
No. So seeing none, why don't we go ahead to new business item A. Approve permit parking request for East Puente Avenue between North Azusa Avenue and North Phillips Avenue. So who'll give the report?
I'll give a report.
Okay.
Received a request from the resident that lives on Puente Avenue, and and we surveyed the 9 properties that are affected by the restriction, and we received 6 residents that are in favor of the restriction, which is more than the required 50%. So the recommendation for this is to approve the parking permit parking restriction.
Was there any particular reason why they
The reason for the request is because there is an apartment complex along North Azusa between Padillo and Puente, and they're using that area to park. In addition to, is they're also using the side streets, La Brita and Phillips to park there. I received a email from one of the residents on La Brita asking that they also get the survey done on their streets. And this is the copy of his request.
Okay, why don't you go ahead, sir?
Okay. I'm Alan Everman. I live at 1832 East Puente. I've lived there for 46 years. I've always loved living there. It's been a great area, great neighbors, everything else. They put in a Rite Aid, which is now a CVS, probably 20 years ago, something like that. And if you have a map on A there, on number 1, you'll see the location I'm talking about. And Mr. Hernandez put a black mark where he wants to do the permitting on the street. It has literally become a parking garage. These are pictures, different days that I've taken different pictures. These are not my cars. And it goes further back all the way to Phillips Street. And if you want me to leave these, I'll happily leave these. Literally, we had cars that are parked in front of my house for a week. Finally, this year, I just got fed up with it, and I started calling the police after 3 days, and they've been good enough to come out, and they either call them or give them a ticket, whatever. I have 2 right now. I'm waiting until tomorrow. They've been there 3 days and called it. For some reason, the apartments think they can just park the cars there and just leave them. I don't understand that. I've had my trash not get picked up because I put my trash cans out and then they park on both sides of it, so the little claw guy can't get it on numerous occasions. Trash, I've found everything. You name it, people pull out of their car, you know, complete to-go stuff, 2-liter bottles of stuff, beer cans, you name it. This is the first time that I've lived there in 46 years that I really do not want to be there anymore. It has been horrible. So I'm now asking the council and the traffic people to fix that for us, give us something where we don't feel like we need to take the law into our own hands, because, you know, that's where we're getting at. And I pick up trash probably every day in front of my house, alongside my house, across the street. Street cleaner has not cleaned in front of my house. Now, in fact, today, because the water's running through, I got my street cleaned because there's always cars parked there. I have a son who's a cop who lives up in Big Bear, and so he comes down when he's a detective, so when he has to come down for cases, he usually stay at our house. He has to park down the street. He probably does that twice a week. He has guns and stuff. I don't know. He doesn't appreciate it, and I don't appreciate it. And when I know that he's going to come, then I try to move my cars in the street and let him, you know, park in the car, because he has to move guns to and fro. So, bottom line, it's a disaster. Mr. Hernandez has been very gracious in giving us, trying to get okayed for the permit parking across my street and in front of my houses. The neighbors are asking me to ask for more than what he's given us, and I know that's going to be a little harder, but the reason why is when they put in the Rite Aid, if you look at the first 4 houses from Azusa going east on Puente, that is all red zoned. When they approved Rite Aid, we never heard anything about that, although obviously the residents, we fought trying to get Rite Aid put in there, which is now a CVS. They didn't tell us it was going to be red zone, so the first 4 houses lost their parking in front of their street. No, not that big of a deal, they could park across the street. Well, obviously now there's no way, there's always cars parked in front of the CVS parking lot on the north side of Puente. So they wanted me to ask if it's possible that they can get that permit zone in front of the CVS also, because they literally lost their parking 20 years ago. They were parking there. This only happened a year ago. What happened is all the apartment people were parking. There's another CVS at Padillo and Azusa, and then one on Puente and Azusa. I have a cold if you haven't figured it out. And so they've been parking in the CVS parking lot. Well, obviously CVS got tired of it. They put up tow-away zones and can't park there overnight. Well, over a year ago, that's when all this started, and it's just been a disaster. So I'd appreciate some help from you guys and hopefully the city council to get that approved. Again, the neighbors asked me, and I talked to all the neighbors, even though he had 6, every one of them are for getting this taken care of, but especially the 4 that are on the corner down from me. They're constantly picking up trash and everything else from across the street, and they would have liked to see that, if it's possible, extended to Azusa Avenue to Phillips. So if you could do that, we would really appreciate it.
Can you say which one is your property again?
I'm at 1832 East Puente. I'm the 5th house down from Azusa Avenue. So I'm almost in the middle, not quite. Any other questions?
Before we go, are you here, ma'am, for the permit parking on Puente? Okay, no. Maybe on that. Do you know, Miguel, the reason why the first 4 homes have been red curved?
Yeah, when they put in the left turn pocket, so that reduced the width of the street, so they had to.
Okay. So there's a left turn pocket,
Yes.
Westbound on Puente.
Yes.
Okay. Are any of the other side streets permit parking right
Yes. South of you have La Brida
now? La Brida.
and Feltmore, which is actually on Roland, in between Roland and Puente.
You said Feltmore?
Feltmore, yeah. I don't remember exactly how many houses east of Azusa, but I know that Feltmore and La Brida are permit parking as of now.
So is it all of this La Brida?
Yeah, but it's south of the, so it would be on the other side.
Oh, okay, so it's.
So it's not in this area, no.
Okay, not within this area, so nothing within this area then. You said the 9 homes that were surveyed, which were those then?
It was 1808 through 1844, and then on the north side is 703 and 704,
703 and 704.
on the north side.
Yeah, so it will be these 9 homes here.
Yeah, we didn't survey the CVS only because it's a commercial property.
Right, plus they have all their parking on site anyway.
Right.
So they won't be affected at all. But from what you mentioned earlier, though, the people who are parking on this side of the street are actually coming from the other side. So they're coming from the apartment on the other side of Sousa Avenue.
Yeah.
They're literally coming, I've followed them. They're literally coming all the way from the corner apartment on Azusa and Badillo and walking all the way over and parking and then walking all the way, you know, I mean, I've seen them come in and go from every one of those apartments.
And you said most of the time they would leave their vehicles for days.
Oh,
and
yeah,
not even move.
a week, and then until finally I start calling the police on if I see them over there for 5 days. I got 2 right now that have been there for 4 days. One right across from me, I don't know what it is, they'll park in front of my house, just leave their car, my neighbor's house. The pictures I showed you don't give the whole street, but it goes all the way to Phillips, the filled parking every night if you drive by it.
4 days?
Well, 3 days. Well, it's raining today, so I figured couldn't give them a ticket on it, so I'm waiting till tomorrow.
We have sleeves.
Huh?
We have sleeves for the rain.
Oh, okay. Well, I just had one last week, and I looked at it, and it was. I don't think they were planning on the rain. It was dissolved. You know, I still have that little heart in me where I go, well, I don't want them to get a ticket, but you just at some point you just get fed up. So.
Do you have any other questions?
No, based on
I'm good.
the permit parking that we have around the corner from that, I don't see a problem with it.
Again, the only other concern I have is that once you do permit parking here, so it's gonna push the problem to the other side streets.
Yeah, that's what the email is.
Yeah, so pretty much you're gonna have people requesting permit parking on the other streets now.
Yeah, I sent the resident on La Brida the application.
Yeah, there's cars parked up there also. I see them walking out. And it's, to me, something needs to be done at the apartment level, not just this for the permit. That'll solve a little of this. But something needs to, is those apartments in West Covina? Or are they Covina?
They
Southeast
are
corner is West Covina.
in
West Covina. To me, obviously, and I get it, the economy the way it is, you have multiple families living in a house, you might have a couple teenagers that can't move out anymore, or like my sons who are in their 20s. I sympathize with all that, but, I've lived there 46 years, like I said, and I loved my community. Now this is ridiculous.
And this is permit parking 24/7.
24/7.
24/7. Any other questions? No?
Should we include the commercial area as part of the permit parking? Along CVS?
But the thing is, if it's permit parking, have we done that in front of commercial property?
No, we haven't.
You have any?
thoughts on that? No, I'm trying to think. I typically haven't included it because what permit would you give them? Would you give them
Yeah,
one?
but who would be
And who would get it?
eligible to apply for that permit, right? Because if you allow the employees of CVS to be eligible, then how do you exclude the tenants of the
that's true.
apartment, I guess? So I think it's harder to do that.
Yeah, it's intended really for the residents.
Is parking allowed on that side?
Yeah.
It's not needed for the width with the left turn pocket?
For some reason, they shifted all to the south when they put the left pocket in.
I see.
Is it wider there?
I was trying to look that up.
I don't think it is.
Maybe when they developed that property, that there was some right-of-way take at that point that widened that street.
No, the only right-of-way take was on Azusa.
Okay, it doesn't look like it.
Yeah, I'm trying to, so I can't get it to come up. I was trying to see it. There, maybe.
So for this particular request, 703 and 704 La Brida will be eligible to apply for a
Yes.
But none of the other residents, right, on La Brida?
No, just those two.
Just those two homes.
It looks like, yeah, it looks like it's wider
It's wider at that point.
on that side.
Okay, that's probably why.
Yeah.
Okay. So since there are no more questions, do we have a motion?
A motion to grant the permit.
Okay,
Yeah, I'll second it.
okay. So I guess we take a vote. For approval?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in favor.
Yes, okay. Not approve the request? Hearing none, so the item is approved.
Okay,
So
thank you
the
very
next
much.
step, sir, will be that this item will go to the City Council for consideration on April 17th.
I have that paperwork for that.
And once they approve that, then we'll send out notices to everybody who will be affected
Okay,
before we install the red curb.
all right, thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay.
Red curve or permit?
Or the permit, sorry.
That'll make it worse.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, permit that. Okay, second item on the agenda, discussion of handicap parking and permit parking areas. So who will the report?
I don't have a report, but I think this is because of what I brought up to you guys. We got a call from an irate resident in Ball Park who was upset that one of our cadets issued him a parking warning on the other side. Well, the cadet didn't know that that was Baldwin Park. One side of the city is West Covina, the other one is Baldwin Park. So he was upset. He called in here asking for us to learn about the vehicle code. And I know about all these sections, however, I didn't know the particulars of, I did know them, I just didn't know exactly what the verbiage was, so I didn't say anything to him. He called back again to follow up, and basically, I told him that the way that I read it was that the city could be more restrictive and not allow handicapped people to park overnight. So I posed that question to you guys, and I asked you guys what you guys thought about it. Since then, we had direction from our supervisor saying that we are not to enforce any of that. And I don't know if they discussed that with you guys, but I think we need to communicate and find out if that's the way you guys are reading it. If so, we need to talk about it with our supervisors to make sure that we're all on the same page. But from what I read, special parking permits, we could restrict it.
So, okay, so what his question is, that's I want to understand. I read a lot of this, to go back over it. And I noticed that, like, the city does not have overnight parking restriction.
In certain areas, they do.
We do?
Permit parking.
Yeah.
No, permit, that's
Yes.
a little different. No, this, we're talking the 2 to 6 overnight parking, which is usually citywide. And that one I thought was one of your questions about overnight parking. Anyway, that one, they're restricted from parking there unless they also have a permit.
Yes.
There's a process for a permit. So they could get a permit for overnight parking.
Yes.
And the same would apply to permit parking areas. They're really restricted. It doesn't allow them to park there, but with a permit that they would be issued as a resident, they would be able to park there. Just not on the basis of the handicap placard. That's the way we read it and talked
That's
about
the way
it
we read it,
today.
So what you're saying is just because they have that handicap placard, they can't just park there if they're in violation of the parking permit.
That's right.
That's the way I read
That's
it.
the way that's why we interpret.
Yeah, and that's the way I read it, so, okay, I'll talk to the
But
supervisor.
it's also the same thing with street sweeping, right?
Yeah, and the same thing
Yeah,
with
because
street
you have to be
sweeping.
able to clean the streets.
Right, because the placards do not apply to areas where it is specifically no standing or parking is allowed. And it's not necessarily related to time limits. But they are allowed to park longer, like in a 2-hour parking zone.
Yes.
They can park longer than 2 hours.
And they don't have to put, in change.
And don't have to feed the meters, but they can't park in an area that's no standing, stopping, or parking for whatever reason.
That's
All
the-
day,
Mhm.
24 hours.
And that's the argument that he was raising, is that he could do that. I said, you're wrong, sir, read the vehicle code, you're wrong. We went back at it, we went, at it, and argued, and finally, we agreed to disagree, but that person was under the understanding that he could do whatever he wanted because he had a handicap factor, and I argued with him, I told him no, and I apparently took it up the chain of command, but
Well, some of the parking restrictions and no stoppings are for safety purposes, and then it would defeat the purpose of the idea of safety if he would be allowed to park there, because they're being restricted because of safety. So that's why he would be allowed to do it.
okay.
Okay?
Did you say that the driver was a resident of Baldwin Park, or?
Yeah, he wasn't even a driver, it was a parked car.
Oh, it was just a
So-
parked car that was left there.
So what happened was the resident in West Covina was upset that this resident from Baldwin Park was parked on the other side, parked in front of his or her parking spot, calls on this other person. This person, the cadet gets there and he sees the car on the Baldwin Park side, but doesn't realize that it's Baldwin Park, leaves the tag, move it within 72 hours or you're gonna. So he's basically saying, he basically told me, I'm gonna park in the West Covina side and I'm gonna challenge this. Like, okay, you do what you have to do, but I think that the way I'm reading it, I'm correct. I could be wrong, and that's why I posed the question to you
Okay,
guys.
I got you. Okay. I mean, I think we're all in agreement that if it's permit parking, then he wouldn't be able to use that handicap placard.
That's what I understand. Okay.
Got it.
Okay, so I think we've resolved that one. Third item on the agenda, relocation of existing school crosswalk on South Lark Ellen Avenue and West Grove Center Street from the south side of the intersection to the north side of the intersection.
And that's also my item. On this one, we're getting lots of calls of traffic being backed up due to this crosswalk. And what's happening is the school's doing everything right. They're allowing for cars to come in to the school, and so they're able to come out. But the problem starts when, as soon as these cars start coming out and there's pedestrians or children crossing, it starts backing up all the traffic, and it backs it up all the way sometimes up to Badillo. So if we move the crosswalk to the north side, this will even help as a buffer to help the cars exit a lot faster. And whenever the crossing guard is stopping traffic for the pedestrians, it's a break for these cars to get out of that parking lot a lot faster. And I think all that problem will go away if we move the crosswalk to the north side.
Now, the only question I had on that, is there more traffic turning right than left than I would take it? There's a considerable amount. Is this the item you were here
Sorry.
for?
Yes, that's why I'm here. My name's Autumn Williams. I'm the principal at Grove Center Elementary School.
Oh, okay.
Nice to meet you all. When I first got there 4 years ago, we had 470 students, and now we're close to 600. So our parking lot's really impacted at the beginning of the day and the end of the day. And so it really, having that crosswalk where it is now, really backs up traffic onto Badillo, into Lark Ellen. It gets ugly, and of course, parents aren't happy, and we hear lots of the same language that I'm sure you guys hear when people aren't happy. So if that crosswalk was on the other side of the street over there, it would, I mean, most of our, I would say 80% of our cars are turning right anyway. And you have a couple who try to break the rules and turn left, but it would also, having the crosswalk there would prevent that from happening as well. So it would really clear us out so much faster, and I think alleviate all that traffic on Badillo.
And I think also too, it's safer because if you move it to the north side, you have a shorter walk.
Yes, you have to angle it on this side, it's a little bit longer.
Yes, it's a longer walk and they're exposed more into the traffic. So,
And the hedges, if you can see there on Lark Ellen, make sure I'm looking at it.
On the
right.
east side?
Yes, like
Mhm.
the hedges and everything kind of really block the view of the
Oh.
oncoming traffic anyway. So even moving it to that other side would give really good visibility to our crosswalk Lady Maria and the cars that are coming.
Well, I don't see a problem with moving it to the other side. I was a little concerned at first, but given the width of the driveway and all, we would keep it at an angle probably, but, and maybe line it up with the crossing coming across the parking lot. The reason I hate to just put it out straight at a 90-degree over there is that anyone that does turn left, they have a lot harder time seeing a pedestrian if they're over there.
Yeah, I believe there's a no left turn sign,
It's
correct?
a
Is
no
there
left turn.
a no left turn, but because it's kind of away from where you would expect to see it, especially coming down at an angle. However, it's not a whole lot different than a regular intersection with a pedestrian on the left side, you know, as you're turning left. So, but it would kind of make sense to maybe to align it with the other crossing, but maybe not. Is there a handicap ramp there?
We would have to build one.
I would say that's the only other thing I
No.
could see. We would need to install a handicap ramp
Mhm.
there.
On the west side. On the west side.
So
Yeah,
it will-
yeah, on the west side, right, there should be one already at the corner,
So it'll just be on this side then.
right? It would just move from here to there, and there would be a handicap ramp added to that side,
Actually, we
I think.
suggested routes, safe routes to schools recommends to do.
I'm sorry, I didn't know who you were.
No,
You spoke on the phone?
No, you said it.
On the
You said everything.
Yeah.
was okay.
Oh, was it-
To
was it
do
straight
more
south?
of a T.
He's
As
being
opposed
nice.
to,
The driveway's pretty wide. Normally, you would have them line up. I've seen so many problems with these
So, it
right-angle
definitely needs to-
crosswalks that are around the corner, that potentially, you know, hazardous. So, anyway, but we'll look at that.
So if we're going to relocate the crosswalk to the north side of the intersection, do we have to do a public hearing for that or no, because it's already an existing crosswalk?
Now, that's always a question that comes up. We're removing the crosswalk from one side, and that is a removal, but we're also just relocating it. So we're not really removing it, but technically, I think that it does have to be noticed.
It has to be noticed.
Has to be noticed that it's going to be removed and
Okay.
and relocated.
And by noticing it, that means just putting up a sign?
Just the signs
At the
that say,
location.
right, you're right.
Okay.
We did it out there
On
on
Amar.
Amar, yeah, so it's the same thing we did on Amar. Just
Okay.
have to do a 30-day notice out there with signs that it's gonna be, you know, moved, and then that gives everyone, people opportunity to
Okay.
contact us and say, no,
Are
we
you
don't
sure
wanna
about
move
that
it.
no left turn?
I don't think it'll be a problem,
There is a no
but
left turn.
I think
Is
in
it
order
no
to
left
comply
turn
with it.
between 7?
Okay,
Between seven.
but it doesn't have to be a public hearing?
But it doesn't have to be a public hearing, no.
Okay, good.
If there was sufficient opposition to it, we might have a.
Then you may have to do a public hearing.
Right.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
Okay, so do I have a motion?
Yes, since it's my matter, I'll motion to relocate the existing crosswalk to the north side of the street.
Okay, so we have a motion.
Second.
Second, okay. So this item is approved.
No.
So
2
we'll
weeks.
probably, how soon do we think we can put the notice there?
We can put it up next week.
Okay, and then we'll work with maintenance as far as maybe installing a curb ramp at that intersection, at that corner.
So we could probably set it up for the next traffic committee?
Or,
Would we need to bring it back?
Do we need to
no,
bring it back?
no, I don't think we need to
think
bring it
so.
back, no.
Not if there's no opposition, we probably
Yeah.
wouldn't need to move forward. Yeah, we'll
Okay.
just do it then.
Yeah.
So I'll use the same notice I used in Amar.
Yeah. The only thing we need to wait for is to make sure that city council approves the minutes.
The minutes, right.
Which
Oh,
was
okay.
my kind
Can't
of.
So I have to wait till after the
No, but we
17th.
can do the notice, I think.
Yeah.
At that point,
Okay.
as long as we don't do the actual relocation of the
Yeah.
crosswalk
Yeah, the
before
notice
they
could
officially
be,
approve the
Okay.
the
minutes.
notice could be part of the report to city council.
Okay.
Yeah.
So moving on, consider installation of red curb on Sunset Avenue at Sunset Plaza Apartment Homes driveways.
Okay, I guess this would be my item. I received a request from a gentleman that lives at the apartments, And he said he's has concern because he has difficulty seeing to get out of the driveway, primarily to the left. And after looking at it, I can see that, and there isn't any red curb out there. So, and cars parked there, and then it makes it difficult to see. So I checked it and identified the amounts of red curb that would be necessary. The 15 feet up by the signal is just kind of to keep people from parking right next to it. It's not really needed for visibility because, but for practicality, it probably should have had a little bit of red curb there anyway before. So the area would be between the two driveways and then 85 feet south of the one driveway, so for site visibility.
So how many total spaces
It's
are we taking then? So one,
I think
two,
it's,
about 6.
yeah, 20, we use 22 feet per thing, so that's like 85. So this is like 4 or 6, right? 6
5, 6.
spaces maybe. And I don't think that 15 was gonna take because part of it you can't park it anyway.
Now this area here, which is kind of like a keep clear area,
Yes.
because that's where the fire station 1 is located at. So when they're coming out here,
Right.
do we need to extend that red curb then past that area just to make it keep clear?
Well, yeah, I don't know that it would interfere. Typically, you don't park in an intersection, but T intersections tend to be a little bit different, that people park on the top of the T. And I don't know that that's restricted.
I don't think it is.
And so unless you felt there was a maneuvering problem for the fire trucks or something, that would be the only reason to restrict it. But that's up to the committee. What do you think? What have you seen?
I think that's not an issue. As far as maneuverability, there's plenty of room in there between coming out. I don't think that's an issue. And I don't think these cars are going to affect it one way or the other.
It didn't seem like it to me. Now, I guess when they come out, it's like any time cars are parked, though. I mean, you're supposed to pull to the right when you see the fire truck. But if there's cars already parked there, you can't get to the right anyway, right?
Yeah.
So it would just only help that one little space there.
Okay. But as far as the police department is concerned, if you see a car parked out there, you're not gonna cite it for...
In front of this area right
Yeah.
there?
Right.
No,
Like where that one kind
yeah.
is right there.
Usually,
Okay.
the way that happens is when people start complaining, then they do send people out there to either issue citation if there's a violation or give them a warning to move within 72 hours. But if it's going to be creating a hazard like that, then they would probably tow it right away because, but it hasn't been an issue in the past.
Okay.
Well, is this a one-way or two-way driveway on both
They're,
driveways?
they're kind of set up as one ways, but you can go in and out of both of them.
Oh, I see.
And that was part of that was the question I had. And you actually can exit out of the one on the south side too. So, and they're not particularly labeled one way.
I haven't seen any markings on
Right.
the parking.
Right.
Okay. I don't have any questions.
Okay.
I move to approve.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve.
I'll move to approve.
So he made a motion to
Oh,
approve,
you
so
did all second
second.
then, okay.
So-
Oh, so movies, okay.
So the item is approved. Installation of red curb on Sunset at Sunset Plaza apartment homes driveways. So item E, consider permit parking request for South East Hills Drive between Heritage Drive and East Hillside Drive.
Yeah, we sent out a survey to the 14 homes on East Hills between Heritage and Hillside. And we received only 6 responses back. 3 were in favor and 3 were opposed to it. So we didn't reach the simple majority, so we shouldn't even really even consider this item.
Okay, you didn't get any more
I didn't know.
response?
Is this the one where Within the last 2 years, we added parking signs, no parking?
Just the last 3-4 months. Just December, I think is when we installed the no stopping anytime signs.
Adjacent to the open
Yeah,
space
adjacent to the
areas.
open space area on the west side. And this is the second time that we sent out the survey
Yes.
too, right? The
Yes.
first time nobody responded.
Nobody responded.
So the no parking signs are not working?
Well, we still get complaints
Yeah.
that cars still park there.
Yeah.
Are they calling the police?
That I'm not sure.
Because that's one of the issues that happens is they call and they complain to you guys, but when it's happening, they're not calling us, so how are we addressing it? We can't address it if
At
they're not
one
calling us.
point, the signs were even removed, vandalized. So we had to reinstall them, I think, back in January. So they were installed in December, then after a few weeks they were removed, so we had to reinstall them. But that's kind of where we're at. We didn't meet the minimum
We didn't meet the minimum.
required by the policy, so this one, we can't even consider this.
Yeah.
So this one, we just denied the request. Okay, so we now move on to the next item on the agenda. Committee member comments. Do we have any comments from the committee?
I do have a comment. The rectangular rapid flashing beacons were approved again,
Okay,
so we can utilize that system again.
so is that more like a permanent approval now?
It's still an
not just
interim
the-
approval. We still
Okay.
got to apply, we have to reapply now to get permission to install these
When you say reapply
to FHWA.
every time we do an installation?
No, just once.
Okay. I thought I saw some place that they bought the patent.
Yeah.
I didn't really understand that.
Is that what it was?
And they said they bought the patents and they were disposed of. I couldn't know what that meant. I would talk to the manufacturer.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what that means.
Someone bought the patent.
Someone bought the patent. So, didn't matter. I don't know quite how that works, but. Did
But
you
it's
see
still
in there,
just-
you do have to reapply? is that
Yeah,
what it
it
says?
says the original application is null and void now because they denied the first
Because it
interim
was
approval.
previously denied.
Yeah, now they got the new interim approval, so you gotta reapply.
So, do we need to reapply, or is it the manufacturer of the?
No, I think each agency has to apply.
Each application probably
Yeah.
has to be reapplied.
So you just ask to use it as interim use, but then you gotta keep a list of things and send them an inventory of what we have.
Did we have to do that before when we first
We
did like
didn't.
an
We
initial
didn't.
installation?
Yeah.
Just wanted to get an idea of how long that process takes
Was the original?
for them to approve that.
Was the original an interim?
Yeah, it was still an interim.
Yeah, it was
It's
just
only
an
a test?
Yeah.
It's all interim.
Demonstration, it was a demonstration project.
No, they call it an interim.
Oh, an interim, yeah, I think the old type language is demonstration, but okay. So that's what you have to do again now, because it never was full approved, never became an approved.
It was an interim approval.
Right.
It was just,
But never became something more than interim.
right, exactly.
Okay. Was never adopted.
Exactly, yeah. It's still tested.
So, that's interesting. It's been quite a few years.
Yeah.
So now you kind of start the process again.
Okay.
But you can get it. That's the good news, right?
Yeah, it's a good system.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other comments?
That's it.
No, hearing none. So this meeting is adjourned, and our next meeting is, do we know what our next meeting is? It's the third Wednesday, so April 18th, right? So the next meeting will be April 18th. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, cool. Let's see.